Hi guys, welcome to my review for Magic the Gathering 2015. I recently took up Magic in real life. A friend of mine is very into Magic, so he's been trying to get me to play it for a while, and I finally gave in, and it's actually kind of fun. It's expensive, but it's fun. So one of the things he suggested as a new player was to use the game to get used to playing, because you can't always find people to play against, but at least with this I'm going to get used to the rules, I'm going to get used to how it works, and essentially just use it as a training tool or a simulator. I have played a couple of games against real people, but not many. This, it does, I do have to say, gives you a good idea of what it's like to play against people, because the game will pull no punches. It will hit you, and it will hit you hard, and if you make mistakes then it will punish you for it. The AI is actually really good. It can be at times a little bit unforgiving in that regard, because as I say, it will not pull punches, it won't let you off. The earlier stages you'll get a little bit more leniency. They won't go for quite the same ridiculously hard tactics that real life players will use, but at the same time there is a lot of stuff they'll do to you, and eventually once the other player gets on the roll in this, they're nigh on unstoppable unless you've got the right combination of cards. That leads me on to another thing which would probably end up putting a lot of people off. You will have to build your own deck. Much like in real life, you are eventually going to have to build your own deck. There's no starter deck that will get you through to the end of this game. The other players will eventually get too tough for the deck that you've got to begin with. And I mean, even at the very end of the first stage of single player, your deck will not cut it against that player. You are going to have to start building your own deck, and that's going to put a lot of people off. A lot of people are going to get put off by not being able to just pick up easy achievements, by realising that there's going to be a lot of swapping out one card, putting in another one, balancing the deck, making sure you've got the right amount of cards that take a low amount of mana to bring onto the field, and mixing that with bigger, more powerful creatures which take a lot more mana to bring onto the field. And then of course there's the different colours or elements, and all of this feeds into the fact that very casual players who just want a game they can sit down and play without having to think too much or do too much in the way of preparation, they're going to get put off by that. If you enjoy things like deck building, if you enjoy micromanaging things, then this could be a good game for you, because you are going to have to end up micromanaging your deck. You are going to have to end up looking at how many of a certain type of card you've got, how many lands you've got. Lands are what you bring out to use as mana. You can see them, they're actually on the bottom row. That was what was just lit up. That's your mana, and that's how you cast basically anything. Bring creatures onto the field, use sorcery, enchantments, artifacts, any equipment like that. But yeah, it's a pretty good training simulator to get you used to playing if you've got no actual people to play against. At the end of each of the matches you get a booster pack. You only get that the first time you win. The first time you beat someone in single player, you'll get a booster pack. And that also means that if you don't want to go out and buy the real life cards, but you want to play the game anyway, this could be a really decent way of playing it. So I have to say I kind of enjoy it. It can be, as I said, a little bit daunting when you come up against a tougher opponent later on and you've got to start looking through your deck and saying, right, that card there is no use. I've got to take it out. I've got to put this one in instead. I haven't got any hard hitting creatures, so I've got to take this out and I've got to put this one in. But for people who enjoy that type of thing, this could be a really good game. I haven't actually played this online yet because, quite frankly, my deck is nowhere near good enough to take against real life players. I'd have to be very, very, very lucky to actually come up against somebody who I could beat. The expansion is also available now, but I haven't paid the money for that yet, having not actually finished the main game. Because as I say, I've got to sit down and rebuild my deck, because it is getting to the point now where actually swapping out the odd card just isn't going to cut it anymore. I've got to really, really look through, and I've got to really, really decide what is going to be any use to me and what is not. As far as using it as a training simulator goes, as I said, the AI is decent. In fact, the AI is at the early levels, it's decent, but later on it's very, very good. But because it's based on a program game, you are never going to get people using human tactics. You're never going to get people coming up with really extraordinarily nasty combinations of cards. I mean, the friend of mine that I play with and against at times, the one who's actually teaching me how to play, he's come up with some fairly horrendous combinations. I mean, stuff that will steal all of the mana in your entire game, in your hand, in your library, everywhere, and basically let him use it instead. Which means you're finished at that point, basically, you're done. So there's nothing you can really do at all to come back from that. In this you won't get that really, because otherwise it's just not fun. It's just not fun if you're just consistently being destroyed, which is a problem that I found with it, to be fair. When you get to some of the later stages and you are just consistently being shut down, shut down, shut down, shut down, shut down, and that's it. You've then got to go away and you've got a deck build and you've got to come up with new tactics and new things. And to be fair, while I do enjoy that at certain times, there are other times where I'm just not interested. I just want a game where I can sit down and play. So while you can in the early stages, or you can just play practice duels if that's what you want, when it comes to the single player, yeah, you are going to have to take some time at some point to seriously sit down and figure it out. And it's going to take a bit of experience in the game to start getting an idea of what's going to work for you and what isn't. But they do at the very beginning, they give you a couple of practice games with different pre-made decks to give you an idea of what tactic's going to work for you. Personally, I went for a white-blue deck because in real life I've had experience with a white deck and it's worked out really well for me, so that's why you'll always see me using blue and white cards in game. But yeah, all in all, if you want to use it as a training simulator or you play in real life, you'll enjoy this. If you enjoy just deck building and you enjoy micromanaging card decks, you'll enjoy it. For a just quick sit down and play, maybe not so much.